Hello, I'm back. Yes. So I just recorded a video. And this is gonna be recorded the same day. Because Mother's Day is approaching and I wanted to have this video out before Mother's Day. So let's get into the video.
Best part of me is you, and I believe that nobody else would do. You're everything I've ever needed, girl, it's true. And every time the sun shines, all I see is you.
Okay guys, this is about my stillbirth story. Some people call it stillbirth, some people call it stillborn. I'm pretty sure there's a difference, but I'm not sure what the difference is. I forgot what it was. But yes, I have so I know I have a story about this whole experience called losing Isaiah, and that's the video that encouraged me to start my YouTube channel. Just going through that made me really want to, I think Anatole, that's not him. Going through that made me want to start my video, like my YouTube page, because I realized that this community is big. It happens to a lot of people, a lot of women. We lose babies every single day. Now, for me, for my story, for Isaiah's story, I'm going to try to make this as positive as I can. But all in all, it's not a positive, it's, you catch my drift, it's not positive. So I just want to start out with how I found out I was pregnant with Isaiah. I found out on Mother's Day last year that I was pregnant. And Aaron and I, we had lost people close and dear to us. So I lost my grandpa to cancer in December of 2019, shortly before Christmas. So that year, was hard for my family and I. And then Aaron had lost his dad January of 2021. And around that time, we were just going through a lot emotionally, and it drew us closer together. And through our pain, we got really, really close, and we just fell in love all over again. For those of you guys that do know Aaron and I, and a lot of what we went through, like we've been married for, this year will be 7 years, together for 8. We got married young, and it took a lot of growing up for us, and it took a lot of, we went through a lot. We've been through a lot in our marriage. We went through a lot of different stages, a lot of phases, a lot of everything. But through all of that, losing people really close to us helped us learn to lean on each other through our hard times, and it brought us close together. Like, the love I have for Aaron now, I realized it was always there. To me, after being married to somebody for so long and being married at a young age, I'm not the same person I was when I was 20, and he's not the same person he was when he was 19. We went through our 21s together. We went through our 24s together. Aaron's turning 26 this year. I'm 27. And we're finally adults. Like, I feel like we're adults now. And so, with that being said, we grew closer together, and Excuse all the noise in the background, my kid. I'm back. So, peace and harmony. If you're a parent and you know that song, let me know. Let me know down below. So, you know, Aaron and I, we grew closer together during that time. We literally just grew as a unit. And we've been super strong ever since. So, he's become my best friend all over again. In January, all that happened. Come February, I started asking him, how does he feel about, you know, trying for another baby? And he agreed, and he said, like, I think it's a good time. We're in a good place financially. We were planning on moving, expanding our house, and just our love was there. So that's what we did. We created another human, and we lost that baby around 6 weeks. I had a miscarriage. So that was in like the end of March, beginning April, when I found out I was pregnant. And then a couple weeks after I found out I was pregnant, I was actually at work, as a paramedic. I was, in the ambulance. We were on a call, and I started getting really bad cramps, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on. So when we got back to the station, I went to the restroom, and lo and behold, I was bleeding. And I'm a private person, so I didn't tell anybody besides Aaron. I called Aaron and I told him, and I said, I don't know what's happening. Like, you know, I'm bleeding a lot and I'm cramping a lot. So he told me to go ahead and just go to the hospital. So I told, the guys I was working with, I just told them that my son was sick and I had to pick him up from daycare early. So I left, and then I went to the hospital, and they did my blood work, and they did an ultrasound, and they confirmed that I was having a miscarriage. And my HCG was dropping really low, actually. I want to say by the time I got there, it was out of like a 6. And they said that 5 and over, they consider it positive for pregnancy. So it being 6, there's really no need for updated blood work. But they said if I do want to confirm, obviously contact my OBGYN. They did the ultrasound and they reviewed that with me, and they said it does look like you're having a miscarriage. So since it's so early on, you could just go home and rest, and everything, nature will, take care of what it needs to take care of. And they sent me on my way, and I was devastated. But I did call my OBGYN, and I went in, they retested my blood, and obviously confirmed that I did have a miscarriage. My levels went down to I think a 2, it was 2.5 or something. So they confirmed that, and I talked to the doctor, and at that time I was talking to a guy. This is when everything with COVID first started. So he, around that time, so he said, since everything happened so early, once all this bleeding is done, feel free to try again if that's something you guys want to do. He said there's no need to wait. If you guys would like to try again, feel free to do so. I don't see anything wrong with that. So Aaron encouraged me through all of that, and we tried again after everything was done, and I found out I was pregnant on Mother's Day last year, and I was so excited. Aaron was so excited. Obviously, we were nervous. I went to my appointment and they did an ultrasound to confirm and blood work and everything. And I seen the little baby on the screen, and it was crazy because I could see like the umbilical cord. It was so long. It was just crazy. And Aaron wasn't allowed at that appointment because by then with COVID they stopped, spouses coming to appointments. So that happened. And then I had a really great pregnancy. I didn't tell anybody besides my sister, and obviously Aaron, he knew, and then my sister knew. And after a couple more months went by, I revealed it to my other sister, my youngest one. And I just told her, like, don't tell nobody. And then I kind of lied to her. I said she's the only one that knows besides Aaron. So just because I didn't want her to spill the beans, I wasn't ready to tell people because of what did happen. And also my first pregnancy, I lost that baby at 14 weeks. So I just wasn't ready for everybody to know because I was worried, like, if something did happen, then that's a lot of explanation, a lot of explaining to people, and I just didn't want to do that. So I kept myself busy with school. I was in paramedic school at the time, as well as working. So I worked throughout paramedic school, and I worked full-time. So some days I would get off of school and I would have a clinical or a ride time, where I'd be picking my kids up from daycare. I'd take them to the park. I had a lot of studying to do for like the exams and everything like that. So I had a pretty fast-paced, busy life. Every day I was doing something. So time went by pretty quick for me. And then with that, I was graduating for paramedic school. And then so a little bit before that, I also revealed it to my other sister, the middle one. So I have a younger sister, the sister closer in age with me, Linda, the one that just had a baby, and then there's another one in between those two. So I told her, and I lied to her, and I told her that she's the only one that knows, so don't tell nobody. Because at this time I was pretty excited and nervous and just excited and happy. So yeah, and also guys, I didn't have any bad symptoms with this pregnancy. Everything was just amazing. The only thing I craved was food. I just wanted food, burgers, steak, pasta, food, just real food, and strawberry shakes, strawberry ice cream, those type of things. I wanted every strawberry milkshake there was, and I actually come to find out which restaurants have the best milkshakes, and which ones just lacking. So yeah, that was that. I didn't really gain weight until the end. I had the cutest round pregnant belly, but you couldn't even tell with clothes on. I was 6 months pregnant, and my friends and family still had no clue. Yeah, so around August 8th, my sister told me to come over to her house because she had a girls' day planned for us since I'm graduating college, and she just wanted to treat me to something nice because paramedic school, she knew, was stressful, and I was always wearing a uniform with the boots. She was like, come looking nice so we can go out and do something. So I went out and got this random green dress and some sandals, and I had my hair in a bun, and I don't even remember. I think I got everything that day, and I went to her house, and I pulled up, and everybody was out back, and they all surprised me with a graduation party. It was all my sisters, my husband, my kids, my church family, my kids' godparents was there. Just a lot of people was there, and I was just really surprised at like all the love I got that day. Aaron's family was there, his mom was there, well, some of his brothers were there. But yeah, guys, it was just beautiful. It was nice. And then they pulled me in the kitchen, and my sister said that she got the call from the doctor and she knows the gender. And she also bought some things. Her and Aaron had talked about it, and she bought some lottery tickets that scratch off to reveal that I'm pregnant. And they asked me, like, are you ready to tell people that you're pregnant? Do you want to turn this into a gender reveal type baby reveal graduation party, or how do you feel? And I was just like, oh my gosh. I mean, I am 6 months pregnant, so wait, was I? Let me see. No, I was like 5 months pregnant. So I was like, yeah, I guess we can do that. I'm ready. So she pulled out the cards and she handed them out to everybody, and they all did scratch off, and it was like, that's when they found out I was pregnant. And then everybody, you know, congratulated me, and it was like, how far along are you? And I'm like, 5 months pregnant, and they were just like, oh my gosh, like, what the heck? But yeah, they was very surprised. So that happened, and then my sister brought out this piñata, and it's like you pull the string, and then whatever color candy falls out, that's the gender. And random candy fell out of that thing, and she was just trying to prank us. So I'm like, okay, like, what is it? I see pink, blue, green, orange, yellow. Like, is it a boy or a girl? Boy or a girl? I was like, is it a boy or a girl? She had these things, and she had a couple of it's a confetti pop thing, and then she handed a couple of them out to people, and on 3 she counted, and we pulled it, and boom, blue popped out, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's a boy. And I almost cried a little bit, but it was amazing. I really, really, really believed that it was a girl, but it wasn't. It was a boy. So I was like really surprised, and Aaron was super excited, and we were just happy. And that night, I came up with Isaiah's name. We were actually at Aaron's brother's house that night, and he asked me, what kind of names do I like, or have we figured out a name yet? And I was just naming some things, just some names, and Aaron was like, no, no, no. And I was like, how about Isaiah? And Aaron was like, I like that. And then his brother was like, I like that name too. And I was like, yeah, I really like that name, because Channing's middle name is Isaac. And everybody keeps calling Channing Isaiah, and I always got to correct him. His middle name is Isaac. So I was like, Isaiah would be perfect. And I love the meaning of the name and everything. So Isaiah Page is what I came up with that day. Fast forward a couple months later, Channing came up to me in the kitchen, and he was just like, Mommy, Isaiah Carter loves to love monster trucks. And I looked at him like, oh, really? He's like, yeah. I'm like, who's Isaiah Carter? I figured it was somebody from his class in daycare. And he was like, the baby in your belly. And I was like, So I called Aaron like 5 minutes later, and I told him that Channing is calling the baby in my stomach Isaiah Carter. And that name stuck with us since. So Channing pretty much named his baby brother, gave him his middle name. And that's all Channing called him. Every time he referred to Isaiah when I was pregnant, he called him Isaiah Carter. And that's how we came up with his name. So, fast forward to December 5th of 2020. This part might be a trigger for some people. It might be very emotional for me to talk about. I'm not sure. Sometimes I do good. Sometimes I'm crying my eyes out. So December 5th, around 5 p.m., I made spaghetti that day for dinner. And Aaron wanted to go to the store to get some, I believe, either Christmas decorations or snacks or something. So it was at my house. It was me, Aaron, my 2 younger sisters, and our kids. So he was like, you know what, I just want you to take a rest. We're all just gonna go to the store while you stay home. If that's, unless you want to come. And I was like, oh no, you go ahead, take the kids, take everybody to the store. That's fine with me. I'm gonna just chill and eat some dinner. So they all left to the store, and I stayed home, and I ate like 3 bowls of spaghetti. And for some reason, I was just really hungry. And he got back home, and like 2 minutes later, I was like, wow, I really feel out of breath. And I just looked at him like, babe, I don't know why I feel really out of breath. And he was just like, you know, I don't know, maybe it's your asthma. And I was just like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel like that, but I'm gonna just sit down. I said if it doesn't go away, then I'm gonna have to go to the hospital, because it was out of breath feeling, but also could feel like throbbing in my head. So I sat down and the feeling kind of went away, but I started having contractions. So they were very light. So I was like, okay. I had to use the restroom, it felt like. So I was using the restroom and I had the feeling again, like I couldn't breathe. And I just felt my heart throbbing again. So I called Aaron in the room and I'm like, babe, something's wrong. I'm in labor and I can't breathe. And he was just like, okay, well, let's go to the hospital. And he was getting his, the diaper bag and everything. And he was like, all right, when you're done off the toilet, we're gonna go. And I started feeling really sick, and I just looked at him like, babe, I need to throw up. And he's like, what? And I'm like, ooh, I think I'm gonna pass out. Mind you guys, I never passed out before. So I was like, I think I'm about to pass out. And he was just like, nuh-uh. And I was like, babe. And I passed out on the toilet. And I stopped breathing. And he picked me. Well, I guess I didn't fall off the toilet. I was just like, well, I don't know. But he came and grabbed me off the toilet and laid me down on the floor on my side. And he called my sister, my middle sister. Oh, actually, I don't think my youngest sister was there. It was just my middle sister. He called her into the room and told her, like, call 911, call 911. And he was just trying to get me to breathe, and he was trying to wake me up. And he said I was still throwing up as well. So he was just trying to make sure, everything, like, try to just get me to wake back up. And my sister, I guess she was freaking out. So she was just freaking out, like, you just see your sister on the floor passed out, and she's like pregnant, like, what's going on? Obviously she didn't know what to do. So I don't know who called 911, but between one of them they called 911. But when I was waking back up, I woke up to my sister picking me up off the floor, like, wake up, TT, wake up. They call me TT. So yeah, she was just trying to pick me up. But yeah, she was trying to pick me up off the floor. They were all freaking out, and I woke up and I felt fine. And I'm like, what happened? And Aaron said, like, babe, you passed out, you wasn't breathing, and you good? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, I have no idea what's happening. I don't know what's going on. So I felt good for like a minute, and then contractions came, and they were horrible contractions, and it wasn't like coming and going. It was just straight contraction. My stomach was super hard, and I was trying to get Isaiah to move. Mind you, I'm still on the floor laying down. My stomach felt really heavy, and I had my sister put a towel under my stomach while on the floor, and I asked her, can you pull my pants up too? So she pulled my pants up for me, and the contractions was just very, very strong, and they hurt so bad. And I said, something is wrong. This is not right. I've given birth twice. One time it was natural. No, it didn't feel like this. So the ambulance, they came, the medics got here. They took my blood pressure, and my blood pressure was extremely low. It was like 80 over something. And he was just like, well, you want to go to the hospital? And I just wanted to slap him, but I didn't. I was just like, yeah, yeah, I'm gonna go to the hospital. I'm in labor. I'm not 9 months yet. I'm only 8 months. I was 35. I was 34 weeks. And I'm like, yeah, I want to go to the hospital. Like, why, But I wasn't rude about it. And he was like, okay, well, you think you can walk to the door? And I'm like, I'm literally laying on the bathroom floor. And my bathroom is back here. It's like the last room in the house. And you gotta walk through the long hallway through the kitchen to get to the front door. And I'm just like, no, I can try, but I really don't think I can. Like, this hurts so bad. And he was just like, well, we don't have no other way to get you. You're going to have to walk. So Aaron helped me up off the floor, and I stood up, and I got so dizzy, everything got black, and I said, I think I'm going to pass out again. And he said, okay, just sit down, take your time. So I sat down, and he's like, well, the longer we're here, the longer it's going to take to get you the help that you need. So they watched me crawl to the front door. I had to crawl past my kids' room. They were looking at me. The kids were standing at the door, like, crying and asking, like, what's wrong with mommy? And I just had my mind focused on getting to the back of the ambulance so that they could take me. And you know, yeah, so I crawled to the front door, and they told me that I have to walk down a flight of stairs to get onto the cot, and then they can put me in the back of the ambulance and do what they gotta do. So I looked at my husband, and I was just like, in my head, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, this feels wrong. You guys should be carrying me on a sheet at the least, you know? Like, that's what I would do for my patient, but I guess we all aren't treated that way, because I'm not your sister or your mother. I'm just some stranger that you don't know, and you really probably don't have no compassion for. So and at that moment, I realized I was on my own, and I didn't want Aaron to transport me just in case I did pass out again in the car. I didn't want to put that on him. So I stood up, and I walked down the stairs as fast as I could, and they were behind me, and they were just like, I still at the top of the stairs, and I'm, you know, talking to Aaron, telling him like, oh, you should follow us, blah blah, whatever. And they're like, well, you're walking pretty fast for somebody in pain. Well, first of all, I have no choice. You guys are giving me no choice. So I'm on my own, and you know, I just ignored their comments. I got on the cot. And it wasn't both of them. It was only one of them. I feel like the other guy was pretty new, so he was just there. Got in the back of the truck. They obviously started IV. They took my blood sugar. They did like blood glucose test. They did a lot of random stuff. They ran my blood pressure again. It was still low. It dropped a little bit. Yeah, it was. Every sign was there for it to be an emergency, but they did not make it an emergency. They drove regular to the hospital. They went to the wrong entrance. It was actually closed. Then they wasted another like 3 to 5 minutes just figuring out where to take me to. And then they went around, they took me to the front, like through the main entrance of the hospital. They asked her, like, she's in labor, where do we take her? Okay, go to labor and delivery. They didn't even tell her I was in labor. They just said 34 weeks, feeling ill. They didn't even say, like, they ended up getting me finally to labor and delivery after another, like, 5 minutes of wasting time. I got to labor and delivery. They lowered the cot, and they told me it'd be easier if I just walked to the bed. Mind you, the whole ride there, I was telling him I haven't felt my baby move since all of this has happened. This pain it hurts so bad. It's different. It's not like it was before. And he just kept telling me, like, oh, well, every labor's different. He even made this comment, and I quote, even I'm a guy, and I know that every labor is different, end quote. Like, you guys, he was, I hope God has a talk with him one day. I know God will. Let him know about his uncompassionate heart. Anyways, guys, so that happened. So I actually had to get up and walk to the hospital bed. And then the nurse came in, and she's just like, hey, you know, how are you? Or not how are you, she just asked for the, you know, the report. They gave her a report. They just said contractions every 1 minute. They did time it. My contractions was 1 minute apart. But between the contraction, it was still severe pain. So she was just like, okay. She asked for the vitals, and he told her he got 100 over something for my blood pressure. He did not mention that my blood pressure was 80 over anything. And the lady put the blood pressure cuff on, and it was not at 100. It was at 80 something. It would drop back down to 80 over something. And she looked at them crazy, like, is this what you guys got? And he said that was our first initial blood pressure, but with the fluid. And he just sounded like an idiot, and she called it too. She knew he was an idiot. So yeah, I don't need nothing else from you guys. So they left, and the nurse went to go put the heart monitor on for Isaiah, and she could not find his heartbeat. And I'm in so much pain, and I'm just like, is my baby okay? And she said, let me go get the doctor. And she called the doctor, and they came in with the ultrasound, and he placed the ultrasound on, and he was pressing hard. He was trying to find Isaiah's heartbeat, and he said, okay, I see cardiac activity. And he told me not to move because he wanted to go confirm it with his colleague. And his colleague came back in, and they were looking, and he couldn't find it. So they said, all right, this is gonna be emergency C-section. Go prepare everything. Started happening quickly. He told me, he was willing me back to the thing, and he told me he was willing me back to the OR room, and he was telling me, like, just try to stay calm. Everything's gonna happen fast. We're gonna get the baby out. We're gonna do all we can. Just relax. This procedure, he was just explaining to me, like, we will put you to sleep for this procedure, blah blah blah, everything like that. So I got to the OR room, and they lifted me, boom, put me on the table. They strapped my arms down. They put a catheter in. I'm screaming my head off because nothing hurt, and I'm still in so much pain. And I'm like, lady, I'm in pain. I'm talking to the anesthesiologist. She's asking me any allergies, asking me all these questions are just coming, and I'm answering them, but I'm also explaining to him, like, this is, like, I'm in pain. And then he said they got, the IV established, everything was good. It took like 1 minute for all that to happen. 1, maybe 2. And then the doctor, he was right here, and there was another doctor here, and I'm laying butt naked on the table, and he just like, tell me when. And the anesthesiologist said go. After he was like arguing with her, like, you need to put her to sleep now. And she said, I can't, there's certain things I gotta do, blah blah blah. And he's like, okay, well, I gotta cut. And he poured the iodine, the like brownish orangish stuff they put on the clean. He just poured it, cleaned it with his hands, and he had sterile gloves on. And then he just started cutting, and I was screaming like, oh my gosh, this freaking hurts. I felt the next cut. I'm screaming like, please stop, please stop. And then I went to sleep. And I woke up. I was all stitched up. I was in the room. Aaron was next to me holding my hand. And I was asking, where's my baby? Where's my baby? Is he okay? Is he okay? And all I heard was sniffles. Everybody in the room was crying. And I asked Aaron, I said, he didn't make it, did he? And Aaron said, no. And I just felt like it was not real. Because he was a healthy baby. I had a healthy pregnancy. Nothing made sense. I'm just like, how did he not make it? Like, what do you mean he didn't make it? And the nurse said, honey, the doctors tried to revive him. They were working on him for over 35 minutes. And there was nothing they could do. So that's what happened there. I ended up having to get a lot of blood transfusions, plasma transfusions. I was in the hospital for like a week after the surgery. They allowed us to have family up there the first night. Everything happened, and everybody that was able to come, they did put a limit. So everybody that was allowed to come, they got to hold Isaiah. Our pastor was there, our first lady was there, and they prayed for him. And they all said their goodbyes. And I was in the hospital. I had to try to figure out his funeral. my mom found a couple places. She gave me numbers to call and we figured it out. And then my sister-in-law, she gave me resources to help cover the cost of things. And we had a lot of donations from our family and friends and strangers, just people through Facebook, social media. They donated so we could bury him the way that we wanted to. So we didn't have a ceremony. I couldn't handle that. So we just did the burial. We got to pick him a beautiful spot. And yeah. It took me a while to come to terms with things, but looking back at everything, my baby saved my life. His head was so low in the canal that it didn't clot off the blood like that I was losing internally, but it did kind of act as like it did kind of help some of the blood clot. But I also lost so much blood that I didn't have. I had DIC, which means like my blood was unable to clot at that time. So I did lose a lot of blood during the surgery, and I was bleeding internally really bad. What happened was I ended up having a placenta abruption, and they said that the placenta was actually floating around in all the blood in my uterus. So that is how he passed away. And that is the story of my stillborn angel baby Isaiah. It is approaching his 5-month anniversary, and I finally feel ready to visit his grave. So on Mother's Day, I plan on going to visit his grave. If Aaron is ready, then that's what we're gonna do. It will be a year from finding out I was pregnant, so I'm definitely gonna document that process for you guys as well. But yeah guys, that is the story. I am gonna go get myself together. I didn't know it was gonna hit like this. I knew I'd probably cry a little bit, but it just brings back a lot of memories talking about it. So I'm just gonna go pray, get myself together, and I'll be back. And yes guys, I'm okay. This is just part of the process. So I will see you guys in my next video. Also guys, don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, follow our story, and continue to send love, support, and prayers to us. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.